Congratulations on your new MasterCraft boat from Buckeye Marine. This video series is meant to be kind of informative and help you as a resource to understand a lot of the key systems, features, and service and maintenance considerations on your new boat. While today we're looking at this 2024 XT23, if you have a different model or a different year of boat that you've purchased, a lot of these systems and things I'm going to go over should be relatable and apply to your boat. So let's dive in and check it out. So the first, most important, but also one of the simplest considerations before you launch your new MasterCraft is going to relate to the drain plugs. Almost every MasterCraft model is going to have two drain plugs. There's a flat, kind of conventional shaped transom plug that's going to go in the back, and then a T-plug handle that's going to go in the keel of the boat, kind of adjacent to the driver's seat. So make sure, if you're launching for the first time in the spring, you're putting both drain plugs in, you're checking that they're in, and if you're taking the boat out of the water and it's sitting on the trailer, you're going to remove both of those to let any residual rainwater flow out. Let's check out where these go in. So on this XT model, because of the underwater exhaust here, it's just going to be offset to the right, and you're going to put that in, and then with the flathead screwdriver, just tighten it at least a quarter turn. So that's the rear one, and then we'll show you the center T-plug where it goes inside the boat. On this XT23, there's an access door right in the floor here. You're going to take that T-plug, you can see the drain hole straight down, and you'll tighten that in. Now you have two plugs in the boat. On NXTs and some of the older models from MasterCraft, the location should be the same. Instead of a door here, you might have one of these circular access ports on the floor. It's always typically in range of the driver's seat and kind of shifted towards the bow of the boat. So make sure you familiarize yourself with where those drain plugs go. So now that you know you've got your drain plugs in the boat, before you launch the boat or depart the dock, the next step is to make sure that you turn your battery switch on. Similar to like a main breaker on a panel in a house, the boat has a main battery switch that allows you to shut off power to everything in the boat. Depending on the model, depending on the year, the battery switch location and functionality could be a little different. So make sure you refer yourself to the owner's manual to confirm where it is on your particular boat. All 2024 models are going to have this nice refined rocker switch right at the helm. You're going to turn that, click it down into the on position, and that's going to provide the boat with power and allow you to take next steps to start the boat. Go ahead. So I can't stress enough the importance of proper operation of the battery switch. With all the electronics on the boat, there's always a draw of power. So anytime you're done using the boat for the day, for the week, you're leaving the cottage, you want to make sure you're turning that battery switch off. The bilge pump on the boat that pumps water out is hardwired to the battery, so it does bypass the battery switch, but everything else will flow through that. So to make sure your boat will start, next time you come back out, make sure you turn that off after every use. Historically, and older models will have a physical battery switch that you can kind of turn between a 12, 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock position to alternate between the dual battery system on the boat. The newer models with telematics and this nice rocker switch at the dash will do it all automatically. So while the boat does have two batteries, on these new 2024 models, if one battery is getting too low and doesn't have enough power to start the boat, the secondary battery will automatically get synchronized or relayed in to provide extra power to start the boat. That all happens automatically from within this rocker switch and the automated switch at the back of the boat. On older models with a physical battery switch, you may have to manually override the battery to the emergency or combined setting in order to start the boat. Great, so now that you know you've got the battery switch on, I've turned the key to advance to provide the dash, light it all up. you want to check a few things. You want to check that your fuel level's adequate for your outing. So on this boat, I'm going to look at the fuel gauge, know that I've got enough for going out. And then you also want to check the battery voltage. You want 12 volts to be able to start the boat. If the battery switch was left on and the battery has drained and you're showing, less than 12, you want to be mindful that you're not pushing the boat off the dock or off the trailer before starting it, because you may not have enough power to get the boat started. So check the fuel, check the voltage, everything appears good to go. The blower on these boats is automated with the key. So the blower gets all the gas vapor and fumes out of the engine compartment, should run for 3 to 4 minutes beforehand. On these MasterCrafts, when you turn the key on for the first time, it will automatically put that blower on. If you needed to put it on manually, you can come into the settings here, boat settings, activate that blower. So you've checked your battery voltage, you've checked your fuel, you're ready to start the boat. First thing is make sure the shifter is in neutral. If it was left and forward or left slightly out of gear in reverse, the boat will not start. So always do a quick check that it's locked in the neutral position. The boat also has a safety lanyard. This needs to be clipped in properly for the boat to start. The idea being, if you're wearing this on your life jacket and you fell out of the boat, this ripcord would come off and effectively shut the motor down. If you're having an issue starting the boat, always check that it's in neutral and then check that this lanyard is locked in place down here. With that done, you're ready to push the start button and let the boat warm up to the proper temperature. So now, assuming that you've started the boat, you've let it warm up to the operating temperature, you're fine to take it off the trailer or depart the dock. Always make sure the boat's running properly before you leave the trailer or the dock. With the GDI motors and closed loop cooling, they do run a little higher temperature. I believe it's in the 180 degree Fahrenheit range. So once it's warmed up, you do want to check the engine temperature on the dash to make sure it's running at the proper temp and hasn't exceeded it. On the multi-port injection motors, which would be essentially the 6-liter, you want to check, I think it's going to be running in that 165 degree range. So double check your Ilmor manuals or reach out to our service department to confirm. Once it's up to temperature, everything's running good, you're clear to leave the dock. Being a brand new boat and a brand new motor, the boat does have a break-in period during the first 20 hours of operations. What that means for you as an owner, in order to maximize the performance and the longevity of the engine, you will want to adhere to those guidelines. Essentially, in the first 10 hours, you want to vary the RPM. So the boat doesn't want to sit at one constant speed. You also want to operate, for the most part, between 0 and 75% of full throttle. If you're going to go to full throttle, only do it for short intermittent bursts, less than a minute. But for the most part, let the boat experience varying RPMs in that 0 to 75% range for the first 10 hours. From the next 10 to 20 hours, you can run it a little more at full throttle if you'd like, in bursts of 2 to 4 minutes. But again, still treat it like a new motor. It is going to use a little bit of oil during this time period while the piston rings and cylinders are getting lubricated. So you also want to make sure that before every use, you're checking the oil on the dipstick. On these Ilmor engines, your key maintenance parts are marked in yellow. There's your dipstick there, as well as the oil filter that's indicating the first oil change between 10 and 50 hours. Again, in our climate and our use, it's typically in the first 20 hours we're going to do the first oil change, do the first 20-hour service to make sure everything's calibrated properly. So keep an eye on that, make sure you're checking your oil, and I'll show you a few other things on this motor that are worth noting. So your new MasterCraft and Ilmor motor pulls fresh water from the lake to either run it through the motor and cool it down, or to run it through a coolant system to cool it down. And that's dependent on the motor you have. Both systems run through what we call a sea strainer, which is essentially a big water filter that takes weeds, garbage, anything that the boat could be sucking up, and stops it before it gets too close to the motor. It's important to know where this sea strainer is, because if it does get clogged, your motor could overheat. If you're in a situation where the dash is telling you the motor engine temperature has exceeded its normal operating range, you are going to want to check this sea strainer. On this XT23, to access it, we're going to pull the seat back. This transmission cover has two latches on the inside that both disconnect. allow you to pull this back and access the front of the motor in the transmission. Let's check out where that sea strainer is. So on this 6-liter Ilmor motor, the sea strainer is located right here. You can see this big clear cylinder with a filter. It's good if you ever have an overheat or the motor doesn't seem to be running properly or getting enough water. You can visually look in there. If you see sediment, mud, debris, weeds, plastic bag, garbage, anything like that, you want to turn the boat off and you can disconnect this filter to clear it out and make sure that clean water is getting to the motor. With the motor off, this top piece here is going to disconnect counterclockwise. You can then pull that filter out, wash it out, make sure it's clear, put it back in, and you're ready to go. So those are a few key kind of service and maintenance touch points on your new Ilmor motor. Obviously refer back to the Ilmor Owner's Manual for details, and if you have other questions, you can reach out to us at the dealership, and our technical staff would be happy to help you. Next, I'm going to go through and show you some of the innovative features on most MasterCraft boats involving folding the tower, this nice convertible rear seat, as well as utilizing the heater vents. For boats equipped with this nice convertible rear seat option, you can grasp the handle rather than pulling it straight towards yourself. Pull it up to disengage, it'll flip back into the reverse position and then lock into place. Same thing if you want to put it back. Again, make sure you're pulling it kind of straight up to disengage. You can push it with your knees to flip. It's going to go right back in that position. So MasterCraft offers one of the nicest tower designs in the industry. This boat has the Z6 tower. In terms of folding it, every tower you're going to want to swing the swivel board racks in on both sides. Disengage the 2 clips here. And then without anyone sitting in the back seat, you can grasp the tower, pull it down, and lock it into place if needed. The Z8 and Z10 towers work in a similar fashion. The Z8 will have a button on top rather than these releases here, so you can push that button to essentially allow the tower to go down. If you've got the Z10 power tower, fold the board racks in and you're just clicking a button on the dash to lower it backwards. So in terms of screens in operation, this boat's equipped with the dual screen dash. Make sure you familiarize yourself with the dash on your boat. It'll either have this kind of standard 7-inch screen or this nice dual screen display. The nice thing is the interfaces are very similar between the two, with the dual screen just having a little more real estate for the screen and then some added functionality. In terms of the drive modes on the boat, along the top here you have drive, surf, wake, ski, and chill. So this is how you're operating the boat. If you're going to be utilizing surfing, you're going to click the surf button. The interface will change to provide you the SurfStar system. If you're going to be wakeboarding, you would click wake. Note that you can only change through these drive modes if you're in neutral. So if you're ever in a position where they fade out or you can't touch them, that's a result of the boat still being in gear. So with it in neutral, you can now shift between the drive modes that you want to utilize. In the standard drive mode, you have the ability to fill and empty all the ballast tanks, as well as an indicator telling you how full they are. The green indicator on the center stack button here is for your speed control, telling you that it's activated. If you wanted to deactivate it, you just click that. If you wanted to reactivate it, green means it's on, and then you have the ability to adjust your speed accordingly. The boats all utilize a triple tab auto launch system, and that's essentially using the surf tabs at the back of the boat to help get the boat up on plane quicker. Most of the time you'll operate this in single auto launch, which is just utilizing the center tab. Triple auto launch, if you're ever in a scenario where the boat's heavily weighted and you need to get up on plane quickly, you can activate that. A lot of our customers find that it does rock the boat slightly left to right as the tabs are engaging. So from a comfort and driving perspective, most people in normal applications will stay in single auto launch. The beautiful thing with MasterCrafts, the NXT all the way to the X Series boats, is they do offer redundant controls of all your systems. So you do have the ability to move the tabs manually without utilizing the screen, as well as override the ballast system with the manual switches. Most of the time, the automation's the way to go. When it's working seamlessly, it will take care of everything. But if you want to make minor adjustments, or you find that the screen isn't being as responsive as you want, the nice thing is you do have those abilities there to override it. You also have your master volume mute, your horn, as well as a volume override. The top half of your screen on the dual screen display essentially relates to your driving mode, how you're using the boat from a boat perspective. The lower half of the screen you can think of as all your functionality in the screen and the systems on the boat. On the far left, this will control the center stack, allow you to move between navigation, camera, and audio on your center display. Moving along, you can bring your navigation to this screen. We're in a shop here, so it's not picking up a signal. Have control of your stereo and sound. Then you get onto your lighting, and then the manual boat switches, your aft and your forward bilge, blower, heaters, and seat heaters if they're equipped. On the far side, the settings tab, this will give you options for all the settings on the boat. There are some really nice training videos, so in terms of what you're going to use it for, or if you're sitting at the dock getting familiarized, make sure you go in there. You can sit and watch some training videos on everything from connecting to Bluetooth, auto launch, setting up profiles, and all the different tow modes. So really nice, it's built right in there. A lot of our clients, for the first time they're using the boat, will want to sit at the dock, go through this and really enjoy getting familiarized with the screen and the interface. So that wraps up our kind of high-level overview on the features and systems on your new MasterCraft. When we go through the water test and your delivery and kind of advanced orientation, we'll go through everything in detail again. We realize it's a lot to take in. We're here as a resource, so please reach out with any questions. Our goal is to make sure you're satisfied, comfortable, and an expert with your new boat. Congratulations on buying the best towboat on the market, and we can't wait to see you on the water.